Thanks. Okay.
You could be reelected.
You funny woman. On behalf of the governing board, I want to welcome everyone to tonight's meeting. Members of the public are attending both in person and remotely through YouTube Live. In a few minutes, I'll read the full rules of order for public comment at a governing board meeting. If you wish to make a comment remotely, you should have already signed up using our Google form that's available under the YouTube Live description. If you do not see the link to the Google form, refresh the YouTube live stream. It should show up. If you're attending in person, this purple form, request to address the governing board, is available on the table in the back of the room. If there's no public hearing tonight, so we'll skip that. And I will move on to asking everyone to stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. I am going to read the rules of order for public comment at governing board meetings. You know what? We have nothing but regulars here tonight. Does anyone object if we just read these into the minutes?
Not I.
I've got nobody here for public comment. You guys aren't here for public comment. We'll just read them in.
Okay.
All righty. Moving right along. This brings us to the public comment section, and I've just identified that we have no one online and no one in person, so we'll skip through our public comments and go straight to the consent agenda. Okay. I think you had something for us.
Yes, President Jackson. I would like to pull one of the field trip items from the consent agenda. Item number 4, the varsity palm line. We are making some adjustments to that trip, and we'll bring it back at a later date.
And so just to be clear, we're not pulling the field trip memorandum. We are simply pulling one item from the field trip memorandum.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Does anyone have anything that they wish to pull from the agenda, consent agenda, or discuss or ask questions about?
I don't have anything to pull, but given that field trips have come up, I've made the request before that we look to standardize the field trip itinerary formats, which hasn't been done when I understand that there's logistical reasons behind that. But I would just reiterate that I think that that would be a net improvement if we did standardize it so that there's consistency in the information that is provided, and also enable viewing to be a bit easier between various field trips.
Okay. Are you talking about the cover memorandum or the
actual
itinerary?
The actual itinerary.
The attachments.
Okay. Yeah.
They are kind of.
Yeah, they're all over the place. And I mean, given that this is what goes to parents, I think that the amount of variance between them, to me, if I were on the receiving end,
Yep. Okay.
would
Understood.
be a challenge.
Numbers.
They did add numbers,
I just want to point that out.
That
I do want to point that out, so you know at least which one you're looking at.
Exactly, which was an improvement a few months ago. So greatly appreciate that, so that we can match up with the cover notes. 100% agree with that.
Boatload of field trips this time.
It is a boatload of field trips.
And there are field trips in lots of different areas. There's athletics, there's a lot of band and choir, some of our fine arts and community schools trips.
Community schools
and,
comes in.
And community school trips, which is always, again, when you look at these field trip itineraries, you realize how many activities take place outside of the regular school day that really augment and support the curriculum. So I love seeing it's great. It's great to see.
Anybody have anything else they wish to discuss regarding the consent agenda?
I noted that there was an addition to the personnel memorandum that for a coach for high school mock trial. To my knowledge, this is the first time that Foothills High School will have a high school mock trial team. Do you know what it is?
I do, but I missed seeing that.
It's actually a national competition among high schools.
Yes, we haven't.
We've never had one.
No.
I've been asking about it for a long time. I don't have a lot of personal experience with high school mock trial. I do with going to law school and being a lawyer, but It was always curious to me because our speech and debate program was so strong, and they seemed to be so related to me. And then, of course, I know a lot of people who participate as lawyers and judges in the high school mock trial program. I just know it to be a really, really exceptional program in terms of how it's run and the experiences that students get and the types of skills that they get to develop as a result of participating, which really goes beyond, an interest in law in some way. It's just, it's speech and debate and public speaking and learning how things work. And it's just, it's a great program. So I was very happy to see that.
Where are you seeing that, Amy? I'm sorry.
It was the addition to the
It's in the
personnel
extras.
memorandum,
Oh.
so it was in the extras.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And then, of course, as always, very generous gifts and donations from our community.
Well, and I did ask ahead of time about one of them, the one for instruction for $8,700. That seemed like a lot, and found out that it was tuition for a foreign exchange student.
Oh.
And I had, we have foreign exchange students,
Yes.
and but we don't have as many because someone has to pay their tuition. And so, anyway.
Yes, it was a very generous donation.
Very
Of
generous.
one of our
It's
community
actually
members.
required though, so, it goes through as a donation. but
Yes.
It's non-negotiable in terms of the amount.
Yeah, no, yeah.
We sometimes they have companies that they work through that do fund it, but this happens to be within the community.
Personal
so,
donation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's wonderful.
And it's, obviously, people are opening their homes to foreign exchange students, which is an act of generosity in and of itself. And then to go ahead and have to pony up the $8,700 is quite a commitment, and it's admirable. Absolutely.
That always been our going rate?
I unfortunately don't have the
Just
history,
for
but
I
it's,
inflation.
don't know.
It's-
I wonder how we come up with that number.
How many are we currently enrolled?
I don't know. I'd have to check on that. I do know,
I mean, I know the U of A and ASU make a lot of money on their foreign students. Any money.
well,
Well, we don't
technically,
make any money,
yeah.
I don't
Well, I
think.
guess, yeah.
But
basically it's
They bring the cost of.
what it
my
would cost.
Yeah,
to-
my guess is gonna be they have to probably fund at what the state
State level,
funding
that's what it
Yeah.
sounds
would
like.
be for a high school student,
Yeah, interesting.
which I'm gonna guess is about $8,700.
And there is a lot of there's a lot of rules and things that we have to abide by in terms of like graduation. A lot of times you'll have students that are foreign exchange students that have actually graduated and they want to then come here for another year of schooling. We can't take them. So there's a lot of nuances to the program that
Interesting.
make it a little more,
We couldn't take
That
them
might
even
be
though
an
they're paying
interesting
tuition.
report sometime.
because they've already graduated.
Interesting.
But, and like for graduation, you have to be very careful the way you code them because they can count as non-grads.
Oh, yeah, and that goes back to the grad rate again.
Yes, so that goes back
That
to the
goes
grad
back to
rate.
that graduation
There's a
rate.
lot of
Graduation
nuances
conversation
to
we
it.
had. Seating, we don't.
But when it works, it's a great opportunity.
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
yeah.
Learn something every week.
Yes, we do. It's like every meeting. Well, if there's no other comments, does someone have a motion as amended for the consent agenda?
Sure. I move that the governing board approve consent agenda items 3.1, the governing board November 4th, 2024, regular meeting minutes as presented. 3.2, the expense voucher memorandum as presented. 3.3, the field trip request memorandum as amended. 3.4, the fundraising request memorandum as presented. 3.5, the personnel memorandum as presented. And 3.6, the acceptance with gratitude of the gifts and donations memorandum as presented.
Second?
We have a motion and a second on the 6 items on the consent agenda. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Does anybody smell gas? I am sitting here smelling natural
I
gas.
do not
think
smell
it's the
gas.
Sushi.
Seriously?
You think it's the sushi?
It's like a
Can that
really
be?
overwhelming smell.
I can't smell it at all.
Okay. Well, if we all pass out.
Very helpful here.
If you'll pass out, it's the sushi film fumes.
It's the sushi.
We need a carbon monoxide detector.
Okay.
Okay, on that note, we'll move on to unfinished business. Item 4, 4.1 is our preliminary approval of the 2026-2027 school year calendar. This is a third reading for the preliminary approval of not next year's calendar, but the year beyond. And we assume is an action item this evening. I'm going to turn it over to Mindy Westover.
Okay, thank you. That is correct. This is the
I
third
love
reading.
the optimism.
I know. And you know, if that's okay, we've got some time here because it is the
Yes.
26-27 school calendar. We did go ahead and make the adjustment to moving the start date up, which does align better with the calendar for the 25-26 school year. It allows us to split evenly. The fallback, of course, is that the end of school, we get out of school a week before the holiday. So there is an extra week there in May that basically will be out when we're used to being butted up against the holiday. But it did push a few things up, but calendar is our day of work will be July 22nd for returning teachers. New staff will report on the 22nd, returning teachers on the 28th, and then the first day of school will be August 3rd. That will, of course, push back our fall break schedule to October 5th through the 9th. And parent-teacher conferences would then be the 20th to the 22nd, those 3 days. And the pre-K parent-teacher conferences will be September 21st through October 2nd, and April 19th through the 30th by appointment. The semesters then, of course, are divided evenly, 90-90. And the last contract day for teachers will be Thursday, May 20th, which is a full contract day for staff. And the remaining items did stay where they were on the calendar. I would take any questions.
Can you share the reason for doing it? I mean, presumably you went back to either
We did.
your administrators, teachers.
You know, we went back to the high school because predominantly that's where the concern was. We asked the high school principal to get more feedback from his departmental leaders. That then came back to us. We read through it and looked at kind of the pros and cons and landed on that because it is so similar to the 25-26 school year that it would be better just to move forward with the adjustment. If that will help instructionally for some of our high school programs in our high school classes. We did not receive any negative input necessarily from the lower levels that indicated this would be a concern of theirs in pushing it up.
When you say that this is more similar to 25, 26, are you talking about the start dates? July
Start
22nd?
dates,
So early.
it
One
is.
day earlier.
It's one day.
It's
It
just
is
one
only
day.
one
day.
So I don't have my
Yeah.
calendar in
Well,
front
we
of
moved
me. I
up
just
one
didn't
day the
remember.
last couple of years. So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
still, it's very
Okay.
close.
It just keeps
So
moving
the
up
one
By a day.
day,
And then it does
and the
this.
the
ending.
benefit of the 90-90
Outweighs the
outweighed
slightly
the
early
one
start.
day.
And of course, it is, like we said, it is difficult with recruiting and hiring because of the start date.
Yeah.
And how early that is, especially if we're hiring any out of state.
Yeah.
It does create a bit of an early start, but we've kind of been battling that already.
Right.
So
Yeah.
we felt like, you know, if it
Nothing new.
helps our classroom teachers, that maybe this was a battle we would stand, and you know that it's gonna shift a little bit every year slowly, but you know, if we do at some point feel like we need to really make that big shift backwards, we'll have some time to potentially gather more feedback from our staff in doing so.
Thank you for revisiting that.
Yeah, I really appreciate the admin's willingness to go back and revisit the issue. I think the more input that we get from the people in the trenches, the better. And very nice to see that willingness.
Because bottom line is that no matter when we get out of school, whether it's a week later and start a week later, the summer is still
The same.
equally as long. It
Yeah.
may not feel quite like it because of the way things kind of fall for us, but it is the
We're just
same.
out so much earlier,
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're just out earlier.
which can be
No
an
one's gonna
advantage.
complain about that.
No, and it can be an advantage if you go on family vacations before all the other schools are out.
Yeah,
You're
right.
not with massive crowds of people, but, you know, I will say that July 22nd or 23rd date.
That hurts. Wow.
Although that's not necessarily for families, for teachers, I'm sure it comes up very fast,
Yes, and
very fast.
it also does allow with that earlier release, it allows for one extra day, PD week in May, which we don't always have due to the holiday. So it does allow us an earlier PD, because it's really hard to get teachers to come back for PD in July.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of their real downtime before they start, so.
Well, and you don't really want to come back for professional development after Memorial Day either.
Well,
I mean-
they do a lot in June.
Oh, they do anyway?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
okay.
harder to get them back in July, so if we had more
Okay.
time in July, it's a little bit harder to get them
Okay.
back in, I believe Ms. Castro would agree with me on that's a little harder, yeah.
She's giving her a thumbs up.
It's a little harder to get them back in July, but in May, right when school gets out, they tend to be ready to, you know.
And they have
they're
that
okay
extra
with
week there.
As well. So I think it
Actually
will
good.
work out well, and it'll give us some time if we want to, or need to, do something with 27, 28, we have some time to work with that.
I just want to flag, the color coding on the exhibit needs to just be reviewed. We still have, for example, the week of the 24th in yellow, 24th of May in yellow, indicating that school's in session that week, but it's not, so
Oh,
just
okay.
to, before you publish it, to please, and I think we could probably still go ahead and
I will.
ask for approval with that amendment,
Yes,
but
yes, yes.
before you publish it, just double check the color codings, please.
Got it.
Actually, I didn't notice that. I did not, all right. Well, is there any more comment on the preliminary approval of the 2026-2027 school calendar?
Don't we really want to see this next time? No.
I know Mindy wants to present it again.
Well, it is a pleasure, but
Thank you.
I would be okay.
So I move the governing board preliminarily approve the 2026-2027 school year calendar as presented. For your colors? Sure, as amended for her colors.
I don't think it's the document that's actually getting approved, it's.
I'll second, I guess.
I'll second the
Not
amended
hearing another
motion.
second, I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to preliminarily approve the 2026-27 calendar. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. We can put the calendars to bed for a little bit. Okay. Item 4.2, our second piece of unfinished business, approval of revisions to policy DJE and regulation DJE-R, bidding/purchasing procedures, a second reading. Back to you, Mindy Westover.
Okay. This is the suspension and debarment are actions taken by the federal government against organizations or individuals who have committed fraud or a criminal offense in violation of federal law. The federal government prohibits expending federal funds or goods and or services from any entity suspended or debarred from doing business with the federal government. The purpose of the revision to policy DJE and regulation DJER is to ensure that grant-related purchases are not made from an entity that has been suspended or debarred by the federal government. In accordance with Uniform Guidance 2 CFR 200.214, Catalina Foothills Unified School District Number 16 Policy DJE has been revised to include language to check for procurement contracts for goods and services awarded under a non-procurement transaction. An example would be grants or cooperative agreements, and that are expected to equal or exceed $25,000 for debarment or suspension of any agency, entity, and its principals. And after the first reading of this policy and regulation on November 4th, 2024, there were no additional revisions recommended. So the recommendations that we've brought forward are the same.
The same.
So any questions that I may answer on that? So we would ask that you move to approve them.
Nobody wants to move to approve these?
I move governing board approve policy DJE, regulation DJE-R, bidding/purchasing procedures as presented.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Okay. Now on to our new business, which is the selection of delegates to the Arizona School Board Association, or ASBA. This is for the business meeting, the delegate to the business meeting. that will take place in December during the annual conference.
I can make this easy because I'm going to be attending the conference with our board members-elect, Jacqueline Davily, Tom Logue, and,
Are you volunteering?
yeah, because I'm gonna be there.
She's going to be
And
there, yes.
I'm gonna be there, and the business meeting doesn't take place during any sessions that I would be in with them, which is, so
That works.
Thank you so
So
much.
I will go.
And so I'm actually going as well for the new board member orientation. So Amy and I will both be there for that, but I can't stay for the rest of the week. But you will be in the very capable hands of Amy Krause.
Are the best.
All right.
So we need an alternate, but you
Yeah.
don't have to be there,
No,
right?
the alternate
No.
could attend virtually.
Is that right?
Yeah, there's a,
I noticed.
So you could, so for some reason you weren't there.
yeah, we still need an
It is
alternate.
being held
Can't volunteer for
virtual.
both people.
Okay.
I
Doug, you
cannot.
want, or do you, pardon me?
I cannot.
Okay, Doug, you want to be our alternate? As your last official act as
Yes.
a board member?
Yes,
Okay.
I will.
He's
I'm-
thinking, how reliable is Kraus?
I'm,
Exactly.
That's what he's
She's
thinking.
110%.
I think it's
That
pretty
actually went
safe
through
for
my
you,
head.
Doug.
Yeah, I was like, I can say I'm alternate.
I am there. I am in.
All right,
so
all right.
I move the governing board approve Amy Kraus as the ASBA delegate and Doug Hadley as the alternate.
Second.
All right, we have a motion to approve Amy Krause and Doug Hadley as her alternate for, to represent our school board at the annual conference business meeting of ASPA. All those in favor?
Right?
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Phew.
Waiting for Doug
Thank
to
you
approve.
both for volunteering.
I
I
know.
really do appreciate it. We joke and laugh about it, but I do appreciate it. It's,
Of course.
important to be involved in the process, and it's that's a lot of time at a difficult time of the year to be away, so I do appreciate that. And I appreciate you
pleasure.
guys being willing to go as well. It'll be fun. It will be. It will be fun. I'm not being
It's a
facetious.
good meeting. Yeah.
No, I'm not being facetious.
It wasn't bad yet.
All right. We have an item 5.2, which is consideration of the proposed ASBA bylaws. Let me get there since this is my item here. Oops, wrong document. Hold on a sec.
We gotta go through these item by item.
Depends if that's how you guys would like to go through this. So this is the time set on our agenda to discuss, consider, and give directions on voting on a bylaw change proposal from the Arizona School Boards Association. The bylaw proposal by the Board of Directors by the ASBA Board of Directors must be approved by 2/3 of the ASBA member boards to be effective. And after discussion, we will vote to give direction to our governing board secretary, Amy Sams, to electronically vote in the manner that the board has approved, which is interesting that we can't do that for the rest of the business meeting at the end of the year, but the bylaw proposal is to be considered and acted upon. The ASBA Governance Committee, with unanimous approval from the ASBA Board of Directors, has proposed changes to the bylaws to enhance governance practices within our association. These updates are designed to improve transparency, accountability, and member engagement, ensuring that ASBA continues to operate in the highest standards of integrity and effectiveness. The proposed changes also aim to strengthen the association's ability to adapt to emerging challenges and better serve our diverse membership. The background on this, the committee's conducted a thorough review and is recommending updates to the bylaws. These recommendations are aimed at improving the effectiveness of governments within ASBA and ensuring alignment with best practices. So we have been provided with that bylaw, the proposed changes, along with a summary document, which I'm sure all of us have reviewed prior to this meeting. And to answer your question, Carol, about do we go through
Yeah.
each one of these lines, this doesn't look like it's a vote on each one
No,
of these
it-
changes.
No,
This is a
I'm-
vote on making all of these changes to this particular bylaw, which is quite lengthy.
There's a
is.
lot.
So we either approve the whole thing or
We
disapprove
either
the whole thing?
approve the whole thing
Up or
or
down,
disprove the whole thing,
Well-
which is a very interesting prospect.
It's bizarre.
It's quite bizarre.
And the cover memo, which I just lost track of, sorry.
Doesn't summarize the
It really doesn't.
It does, not only does it
Little
not
vague.
summarize it, but it also says there's a letter from the board, why we should vote yes, and there's also a, document about, is that what you were saying, the summary document? Because
No, I'm just agreeing with you that it's not there.
it's just,
No,
we're-
it's
so
not
there's
there,
two
so all
things
we
that
have
it
is the
says-
markup.
Yeah.
Right.
Was there, just to check that that didn't come through as some other format, or are we, is there a document that we're missing, or did they just not
Amy,
deliver
do we
it?
have this letter from ASPA encouraging a yes vote? This was everything ASPA sent to us.
Where did I see that?
It's,
No,
it's
there
in the-
was-
It's
it
in
was
this
someplace.
summary that
It's in the
comes
summary.
right
Oh, there.
before the
Oh, okay.
bylaw itself and the markup copy of the bylaw. I mean, I did read through the changes. There's nothing in
I
here
don't
that's
see anything.
earth-shattering.
No, there's nothing.
Yeah, look,
I don't
Well, that-
necessarily see how it translates into better governance
That's
and
what I
better
don't
oversight and better
looks like they're
transparency.
cleaning up admin is what it looks
Well,
like. And
it-
they- And some specific
well,
things that have
they're
happened in the
also-
past.
Well,
Yes,
they're
there are
conce-
some things,
definitely.
conflict of
Yeah.
interest,
But
yes.
they're also concentrating, they're giving the executive board more authority to act on behalf of the membership. That's, I mean, that's the theme that I saw
Sure.
in many of the items. Which I'm not sure is necessarily bad, I just don't, I kind of feel like I don't know enough.
and I also noted that they shored up the approval of the executive director,
Yes,
after what
vetting
happened
with,
this past year.
yes, that was a good, yeah.
Which, again, yeah, not necessarily a bad thing.
No, I think it was all, I mean, this seemed to be, in light of what I understand has happened, seemed to be
Agree.
Yes.
good,
Yeah,
good changes.
agree. I guess I'm just surprised that there's so many changes and they want a binary
I know,
Right,
up and
yes or
down.
no.
agree, disagree, yeah.
Well, if it were that way, then it would have to be done at your meeting on
Oh, God.
Thursday, I mean,
It'd be a long meeting.
so.
Yes, it would.
And this has to be approved by 2/3, and 2/3 of the
Almost never get.
members
to
won't
it.
be
Yeah.
there, so.
Even with the electronic voting,
Yeah.
they have difficulty getting it. And let's see, when is this
When's
vote?
the
Let me go
meeting?
back to when's the
Do we have
vote?
time to request the letter that
Yeah.
they
That's what I'm
referenced?
wondering, yeah.
And the letter,
By the 13th, so when's our next meeting?
The 10th,
The 10th.
so we can still give
We
direction.
have such a light agenda next
the
time. We
10th.
can-
Yeah.
where,
Right.
will somebody please tell me, because I'm still not seeing it, where did I see that there were those documents?
On the first page
On-
of the attachment of the,
First
So if you go to proposed ASPA
Oh, yeah, yeah,
bylaws.
what's the change, that's where it
says
is.
letter from
Yeah.
ASBA
Review the
Board of
resources,
Directors.
well, that's great, but we didn't get the resources, unless they're in our email somewhere.
We got the marked up document.
We got them. We did not get a letter from the board of directors, and we did not get a model agenda item for our board's discussion, which might be really, I don't know what that is, but if it is a thing that says, for example,
Here's the changes.
yeah, this, that would be
It might have been helpful.
kind of helpful. But it's not in our, we didn't get it mailed to us? I don't
I'm
think
gonna look
so.
and see if
I
it's
wonder
in
if it's in an
an
email.
email
That's
from
what I'm gonna look
someplace.
at right now also.
A while ago. But that's too late now anyway. I mean, we
SBA
can't,
direct.
we can't read
It's
that
almost
now.
time to vote. No. Here, oh no, that's not it. Sorry. Proposed amendment to bylaws.
Are you-
There's an email from September 24th that,
September?
September, register for the bylaw webinar.
Well, there was a workshop on October 13th
Yeah,
that they mentioned.
but there's no attachment to that email.
a lot of stuff about the
I
annual
don't think-
conference. I don't see anything.
I would prefer not to vote without that information, but
Okay, well then let's just bring it back next time and.
Can we ask
We do have
Amy
time.
to track that information down?
Yep.
Is that
Yes,
appropriate?
yes, that will be the direction that we provide Amy tonight, to see if you can contact someone at ASBA and find the missing materials that came to us, or that should have come to us with this recommendation. Because I find it quite awkward to have to vote on all of these changes en masse.
yep. I agree. I suppose I could have realized that when I read the board packet instead of tonight.
Well, I just read
I
through it
did,
and thought
I
it
mean,
was all right and
Yeah.
I wasn't terribly concerned about it, so.
Yeah, but I also didn't realize that it was like an approve everything, disapprove everything. I thought it was a bit more granular, but I didn't, like you, Carol, I didn't see anything in it that gave me cause for concern either.
No, I don't think that's the case, but if there's these additional materials, I don't know what they say.
Yeah.
And I
No,
think
that's
it's
true.
probably important for us to know what those
Get
materials
them
say.
sent out, let's review them, and we'll just add it to
Yep.
next agenda, won't take long at
It
all.
should be
Shouldn't take too
straightforward.
long.
Exactly.
And if there isn't anything else, then you'll know.
And if we can get it sooner, you know, if
Than the
we
board
get it
book,
right away,
perhaps?
we don't have to get it with all of the rest of the board packet. If we
Right.
can get
Right.
it earlier, that
For
would
sure.
be.
That would
good.
be helpful.
Put it on
Have
a
a
weekend
chance to-
review, is what
yeah.
I was thinking.
Yeah, that would
Yeah,
be
if you
Yeah,
can
that's
find
true, too.
something, Amy, thank you. Okay, then we're gonna table this one and bring it back on the 10th. All right. Discussion and reports, cover memorandum, Arizona legislative/governmental activity. It's the calm before the storm.
Well, they can drop bills now, so
Yeah.
we'll see what comes our way.
That was the 123.
Busy.
That's the big thing. That's the big thing hanging over us, is 123. All right, do we have agenda planning scheduled?
No.
I didn't
I
think we did.
Tomorrow at.
It is
at
tomorrow?
10 a.m.
It
At
is?
when?
I thought we didn't have agenda.
What time,
planning.
11? Oh, we don't
It's
have it
not on the
tomorrow.
agenda.
No, we don't have it
There's
tomorrow,
no
I'm sorry.
agenda
It was
planning.
in
for
the
this
agenda
week.
book tomorrow.
We did, we had to reschedule. Had to reschedule.
Because when we've already planned for the December 10th meeting, I remember, I think it was you and me, Amy.
Yes.
And we already planned through December 10th because we anticipated not having an agenda planning
Right.
after this meeting, so I
So
think we're in good shape.
Agenda planning was done for both sessions.
Yes, so we're, I
Thank
think
you.
we're okay.
Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, yeah.
So our next agenda planning
Will not be until after the new year.
No, December 11th.
Are we doing one on December 11th? Do we, I guess we'd have to. You're right, we'd have to. Oh, so I have one
It's on
more?
the calendar for me at 1 o'clock. I don't know why
I do have it
is
at 1
weird.
o'clock with Amy Kraus, but you
weird.
took over for,
I switched with somebody,
with
so.
Doug, I think.
Which would make sense, because I'm planning for something I won't attend.
Right,
Never
but
stop
Carol,
me
if
to
you
do
have
it.
it.
Well, I'll go, I won't.
Yeah, I mean, I'll do it.
Would you like to go, Gina?
Would
I
you like
can't,
to
I'm
do it?
traveling
Okay.
11.
So,
Go ahead, go.
Well, you'll still be on the board.
Mm-hmm.
And sadly for us, Carol and Doug will not still be on the board, so.
Not sadly.
Yes.
Well, sadly, oh, it's
Sadly,
Mary
we're getting
Summerfield's
us.
birthday.
Getting refreshed.
yeah.
Yes, okay, so we'll just leave it with, and it's at 1
I
o'clock,
don't
and
know why
that's,
we picked 1 o'clock, but I'm free all day, so.
I'm free all day as well, so,
can
oh,
check
actually, you know
with-
why we picked 1 o'clock? 'Cause I have a hair appointment at 9.
Well, we don't
It's
mess
at
with
1 o'clock.
those.
No, you don't mess with
That's
hair
for
appointments.
sure.
All right, so I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
So move.
Second,
All those in favor of adjourning this meeting
I,
as we start to digress? All right, I have a motion, and do I have a second?
yeah. Yes,
A motion and a second. All those in favor of adjournment?
I.
Opposed? We adjourn at 5-0. Thanks, everybody.
Should I eat the food that smells like natural gas?
It's like natural gas.
I don't smell anything.